Colm, your article on the referees, I think during the week in the Irish Independent, summed it up exactly. Would you want to be a referee with these new rules coming in, with the attack and mark, with the sin bin, with everything else that's already there?
Yeah, it's very, very challenging, Shane, and to add in, two more subjective decisions that a referee is going to have to make to judge. Well, obviously the sin bin is just a different penalty, but you're trying to measure the time now. If you're on your own, say a club referee is on his own, he has no help, he's no fourth official like at inter-county level. So you're trying to measure that time with the match time, and then if there's an overlap of sin bins, the trouble really starts. And as for the 20-metre kick, trying to measure that on top of everything else, judge has it been out the 45 metres, has it travelled sufficiently, especially if it's a kick that goes straight down the pitch as opposed to out. That's going to be very, very difficult to gauge. But I would make that point in saying I'd be broadly supportive of some kind of the mark, but I thought maybe, and it probably would have been more difficult to confine it to inside the 20-metre line. But having watched this year's championship, there has been an increase in kicking. I know this is a playing rules year, and the Special Congress took care of that. So I would have been broadly supportive of a mark, but I do accept that referees are really being burdened by all these subjective decisions on, well, was that foul deliberate, or you've so much to take on board now, and that was the point of the piece. And you go through the playing rules, the part 2 of the official guide, which governs playing rules, and you go through the technical fouls and the aggressive fouls, and even the penalties around gum shields that's come in recent years. All of these additions and new rules will ultimately fall to a referee to police all the time.
And he, of course, is going to get hammered then when he gets it wrong, even though people aren't allowing for the fact that within all of that, he's probably after running 7 or 8 kilometres too.
He is, and I think it's even at inter-county level, it may be up to 9 or 10k what they are. So on top of everything else, there is an aerobic issue for them too, and the games are faster. There's no doubt. The ball is travelling further and faster quite often, and games are going for 80 minutes now, and above 80 minutes in inter-county. Obviously at club level it's different, but it's just the layers and layers of additions of rules and all of that has really increased not just their workload, but the way they have to think their way through games as well. I can see early difficulties implementing the mark, especially when they're not given and there's confusion around, a player might think he has it, but was the ball kicked out, and he stops and he says no, play on, and he gets hit and the ball is taken off him. So it's not as straightforward as the midfield mark, which I thought was always going to be seamless. At the time I just thought it would be, that it's between the 2 lines and it's a set piece, so therefore generally if the kick is going long, the keeper has bided his time, and there is more time involved for a referee to adjust, get his position and see what's happening.
Do you think there was any element of AFL light when we watched the experiment before of the attack and mark? Because I really disliked it, because I just thought it was too close to AFL, and we're going to have a situation now. Jack McCaffrey even spoke about he loves when Conor Callaghan gets the ball, he turns and go at his man. Are we going to have a situation now where he turns, stops and hits over the free?
Conor Callaghan will always go at his man. A great player like that. A great player like that will always go, and a team can blot out the mark if they want. I mean, if there's something on, they can say, right, let's just not bother with it here. But it will suit some. I mean, the best actually, ironically, the team from my records in last year's league during the experiment that got most marks was Dublin, and Dean Rock was quite prolific he's good at reading the flight of a ball coming in, winning it. He doesn't always necessarily take on, but he has the confidence to turn around and kick it. So I think he'll be quite decent at it. Conor McManus was very good at it. Tommy Walsh was great at taking them. Probably a bigger issue around converting, but still very effective. So there are certain players there, but there may not be as many as we think either. I don't think it will disfigure the game in any way. I think there will be a bit of confusion around it, but I don't think it's that much of a move towards AFL, because the ball still has to travel 20 metres, and it must be inside the 45-metre line. There weren't as many in the league as I thought there would be, but then teams may not have been preparing and catering for them in the belief, well, that it's the championship has not been run on those rules. So why would we use it so much? We won't. But some teams did, and Monaghan were one of those. And as it happened, Dublin, who seemed to be against it initially, I won't say collectively against it, but certainly didn't think Jim Gavin was favourable towards it. But Dublin clocked up as many marks and maybe more than anyone.
Can I ask you about Bernard Brogan quickly? Would you